Oh, Disney, what have you done? Hi, I'm Laura from Your Little Sisters Productions, and I recently saw Disney's latest movie, Wish. But before I get into that, a huge shout out to Lindsay Kay for our new avatar artwork on our channel. Her links will be in the description box below. Wish is Disney's big 100-year anniversary movie, and I am not alone in thinking that it was a big disappointment. I had a spark of hope left for their animation studio after their Marvel movies, Star Wars media, and live action remakes have all left a bit of a bitter taste in my mouth. Their animated movies were all I had left to look forward to. Everything else had failed me. Surely their next animated feature would be good, especially one that was meant to celebrate 100 years of their company. Boy, I could not have been more wrong. Let's start with the music of Wish. It sounded as if they were trying to imitate Lin-Manuel Miranda's style of music, but only part of what he is known for, and they missed big time. They seemed to only want to take the fast talking and odd rhyming part of his music, but the rhymes they chose at times didn't actually rhyme, not even in a slant rhyme. And at one point, they have a singular deer, sing "Here I are, I'm a star." When I tell you that the hairs on the back of my neck stood up, not in a good way, oh boy. They couldn't have two deer say it together so it could be "Here we are." It was the only thing that stood out to me in that song, and only because it annoyed me so much. None of the songs stayed in my head after the movie. I literally only remembered that one line from that one song because I was that annoyed by it. If someone came up to me and told me that I could win $1 million if I could hum or sing a couple lines from the movie I had walked out of not even 5 minutes ago, I would lose. Tangled, Princess and the Frog, Frozen, all Disney movies I saw in theaters, and all movies with songs that I could remember even weeks after seeing. Wish? Nothing. I had to look up some of the music to refresh my memory after seeing it so I could talk about it in my review. There is a duet in Wish between Asha, the main protagonist, and King Magnifico that if you played this song to someone who has not seen the movie and then asked them to guess the context of this scene, there is no way that anyone could even come close to the real context. It sounds like a love song between a couple, and I get what they were going for. Asha sees the wishes for the first time, and the king expresses how they make him feel, which is light and love and warm, fuzzy feelings of protectiveness. And Asha feels the same way. So they sing the song to the wishes. But it's awkward because it sounds like a love song between a couple, not a song that a middle aged man and a teenage girl should be singing together. I felt incredibly awkward that entire scene. Look, I am a musical theater nerd. I have been in many musicals, I've seen musicals, I watch them regularly, and I usually love musical scenes in movies. But there were songs in this movie where I kept waiting for the next note to be the last. I was so bored. I should not be bored in an animated Disney movie musical. However, my biggest disappointment of all the songs was our so-called villain song. Villain songs, when done well, are amazing. Be Prepared, Poor Unfortunate Souls, Mother Knows Best. These are just some of the incredible songs from villains that are epic and haunting, and they stay in your head in a good way. I was so excited to have another amazing villain song to blast on repeat, and I think that made the lackluster song in the movie all the more disappointing. The premise of the song, much like the movie, I actually think was good. It could have worked, but it was way too upbeat and poppy. It didn't sound menacing at all. And the lyrics were oddly redundant more than once in the song. I let you live here for free, don't even charge you rent. That means the same thing. And the song didn't have that rising action build to it like so many other good villain songs do. It just didn't scratch that villain song itch for me. Chris Pine did a good job as Magnifico. I could tell he was having a lot of fun playing a villain and singing. I just wish that the songs were better. I would love to hear Chris Pine sing a good old-fashioned villainy song, and I will forever be sad that this was the movie and the songs he got instead. The story. Oh my goodness, the story. If I was a producer or some sort of movie executive and you showed me this movie exactly as it is right now in the theaters, I would say, good head start. Can't wait to see it once you've fleshed out the rest of the story and characters. It felt so unfinished. I actually am okay with the premise of the story. I think that it could have been a really fun and interesting movie if done right. The problem is, it wasn't done right. The movie is packed full of side characters. You don't have the time to form any connection to them, or even the main character herself, honestly. In my opinion, the best fleshed out character was King Magnifico, and even he needed more work. The whole thing felt unfinished and rushed, as if the writers didn't have enough time to complete the story or the characters, which is ridiculous because this movie should have been in the works for several years before this as part of their 100-year celebration. I have seen some early concept artwork showing that originally both the king and queen were going to be evil, and that the magic star would actually be a shapeshifter and potentially have a love story with Asha, the main character. I like both of these ideas so much more than what we actually got in the movie. It would have been so much fun to see a Disney take on an evil couple like Spike and Drusilla from Buffy or Onyx and Moon and Emotep from The Mummy too. But Disneyfied. I also would have liked to see the star have something more to it. We know very little about the star, why it's there exactly, what the extent of its powers are, etc. It doesn't talk, and they don't really give us too much to go off with it. They just wanted it to look cute and plushy so that kids would want it and they could make money from their merchandise. Two big missed opportunities right there. Although I'm not mad at the idea of just one person in the couple being evil if they had pulled it off correctly, which they didn't. But more on that later. And because they wanted this movie to be the celebration of 100 years of Disney, they put a lot of references to their other works in the movie, from hidden Mickeys to Asha's friends being based off the Seven Dwarfs, to straight up reusing characters and costumes from older movies. If the story had been better told and felt complete, and a few of these references toned down a bit, I don't think I would mind the nostalgia that they put in there. But because the story and characters felt lacking, it felt like a cheap emotional grab to me. Hey, look at this thing that reminds you of other, better movies. Remember how those movies made you feel and how good they were? Feel that way about this movie too. Also, it felt as if scenes were missing. I never left the theater or fell asleep, but there were points in the movie where I thought I must have dozed off or something because it just jumped from one event to another a couple of times without what I would think to be necessary scenes in between. Spoiler alert, when Asha brings home the star to her mom and grandpa and this goat that now talks after King Magnifico asks people for information about the magic user, which is Asha, we don't see her bring them home or the family's reaction to them or the news that the king is looking for them. They just cut to the family already knowing what's going on and being cool with it. And then King Magnifico just busts down the door and tells her she's been told on, and they go on this wild goose chase. I literally thought, "Oh, I must have missed the scenes showing her telling her family what's going on, the king trying to get people to talk, him getting frustrated at the lack of evidence. Then maybe someone knocks on his door and a guard says, 'Hey, someone's here to give you information.' And then Asha and her family are making a plan to stay safe because they have a talking goat and a star. That's a lot to miss." But I must have missed it, because why would you leave out these crucial scenes out of your movie? Especially one that is already super short. I actually thought that him busting down the door in that moment must have been a nightmare. No way he already found her and is coming after her himself. It's too early in the story for that. Nope, it was real. Also, they had things in the movie that they focused on, so I thought they would be important in the end, but they turned out not to be. Like this tapestry in the king's study. They focus in on it a few times throughout. They even have him tell part of his backstory while showing it, but nothing ever comes of it. So that was weird. But by far the biggest disappointment to me was how they failed their villain. I was so over the moon excited when I first heard that Wish was going to be returned to good old-fashioned villains, just like in their older movies. But that is not what they gave us. how to waste a villain. King Magnifico, along with his wife Krina Maya, founded the Kingdom of Rosas after he saw his village burn down. He spent many years learning magic to become the most powerful sorcerer around and wanted to have a place where anyone could come and live in safety. He said he was afraid of watching everything he loved get lost and being powerless to stop it. So he has some serious unresolved trauma. All you have to do to become a citizen of Rosas is when you turn 18, give him the biggest wish from your heart and wait for him to potentially, maybe, grant it one day. When you give him your wish, you don't have any memory of it until it is granted. You get to live in what appears to be a very safe and prosperous kingdom without paying rent, as he says in his villain song. He is also the only one who is allowed to practice magic in the kingdom. We learn in Asha's interview with him to become his apprentice that he does not intend to grant every single person's wish that was given to him, as he sees it as too dangerous to grant everyone's wishes in case they take a turn for the worse or someone wishes for something that is objectively bad, etc. Which actually sounds logical when you think about it. Not every person has good wishes and only want good things. Some people are greedy or egotistical or selfish or mean or vengeful, etc. And what they might want might not yield good results or even be outright evil. And even if the wish is done in good intent and sounds good on the surface, it can lead to unexpected and potentially bad results for themselves or others. The movie Bruce Almighty has already shown us how granting every single person's wish does not turn out the way you might think. Do I think King Magnifico is the right person to be making these types of calls? No. He's a flawed human being like the rest of the kingdom. He just happens to be really good at magic. And I agree that if we want something for ourselves, we should go after it and not rely on someone else making it happen for us. But the people who live there for free willingly give him their wishes, knowing they will forget it afterward and that there is a chance it will never get granted. They say in the movie that he holds a wish ceremony around once a month or so. And there are way more than 12 or 24 or even 36 people living in Rosas. Of course, the king is manipulative in how he keeps everyone's hopes up without revealing why some wishes will never be granted and shows his prideful side when he gets upset at people asking questions. But Magnifico doesn't start out as this I want to take advantage of people and keep all the power to myself so I can have everything I want villain. It's more that he has some trauma in his past and has allowed that experience to shape everything about him. And by being in power, he's skeptical of people who want to be close to him because they always wind up asking him for favors. And that is one of the problems I have with this character. They tried too many avenues of villainy with him. He starts out the movie, yes, arrogant and prideful, but not malicious or evil. Partway through the movie, he makes the choice to use dark magic when he feels threatened. I'm not a fan of that choice, but they state in the movie at least a few times that he is possessed by the book, meaning that all his choices and magic use from here on out is because he's possessed. He didn't open the dark magic book to control his people or gain more power from the wishes. He wanted to protect what he had. Dear heavens, I cannot believe that I am defending a villain in a movie. But they couldn't even give us a villain that chooses to do evil things for the sake of being evil or to achieve their goal of power. They had to give us a villain that was possessed by something evil making those choices. Look, being arrogant and prideful, they're not great characteristics, but they do not an evil person make. And I would argue that being possessed by something that uses you to do evil things also doesn't make you evil, kind of like Ginny in the Chamber of Secrets. Although I will say that the one right thing Disney did with him is having him open the book knowing that it would lead to bad things, and he chose it anyway. That being said, in the same vein, his motive for opening it was protection, not for an evil purpose. So they also kind of fumbled it at the same time. It's as if they couldn't quite fully go in on him being evil. If his motive wasn't evil, then maybe he should have been redeemable in the end of the movie. But if his motive for opening the book was evil, then yeah, he deserves to be taken down like all the other villains. But it wasn't. When he has full possession of himself and his choices, he's not evil. He's already the king of a great kingdom and the most powerful magic user around. He never shows any desire of wanting to expand his kingdom by taking over others, or by enslaving his people, or even using the wishes to give him more power. All that happens after the book has possessed him. Why couldn't they just give us a more traditionally evil villain? Or at least one who was more fleshed out and made more sense than the half villain we got? Also, side note, I know that he is drawn to be traditionally handsome and he's arrogant about how he looks, blah, blah, blah. But it really weirded me out that throughout the entire movie, women and teenage girls were fawning over him and wanting to kiss him or proclaim their love for him, knowing that he is married to their queen, no less. It happens more than once in the movie, and it just feels weird to me that they focused on that as much as they did. Also, I was sad to see not just how quickly, but without remorse, his wife, Queen Amaya, just traps him in the mirror and says goodbye. I get it, he's evil now, or is possessed by something evil, and they read in another magic book that once possessed, you can't ever come back. But I expected to see at least a little sadness or grief over the loss of her husband. He did seem to really love her and listens to her sometimes, and she seemed to really love him. Where is her grief at losing her life partner, at his fate of being possessed and trapped forever, any of that? She just throws him away without a second thought, forgetting all the years they had together. I've thought a lot about why this part bugs me so much because it's kind of a minor thing. But the more I think of it, the more I think it's because it makes her seem not fully fleshed out. She comes off as a stereotypical strong female character, if you will, or at least Disney's idea of what a strong female character is. I would argue that having to give up your husband for the greater good while grieving and being sad is stronger than someone who seems to feel nothing about it at all. But worst of all is that they promoted this movie as a return to the classic Disney movies that we all grew up watching and loved, and then turned around and gave us one of the worst movies they have put out in a long time. And that's saying something. This movie should have been in development for years now. They knew that their 100th year was coming up. How could they not? The idea for it, the script, the songwriters, everything should have started at least 5 years ago, if not more. They should have had the best of the best working on this and making sure that it came as close as possible, if not at least matching their classics. The movies that we used to think of when we thought of Disney: Cinderella, Lion King, The Little Mermaid, Snow White, and so on. And the thing is, we know they are capable of still doing good movies. They have had movies come out in the last few years that I've enjoyed, Encanto and Elemental come to mind. But the problem is, I can think of more flops in these last few years than movies that are good. I know I may come off as a Disney hater with how much I have ranted on this channel about them, but I'm really not. I really like Disney and I have been rooting for them. I want them to go back being the Disney that I knew growing up, the one I loved. I want to see more movies that make my imagination soar, not ones where I'm checking the time and yawning through musical numbers like I did in Wish. I want to end by saying that I have heard some positive reviews and comments on this movie, and I'm glad. I very rarely want there to be a movie that doesn't entertain at least a few people. So many people and so many hours of work go into making movies, and I want their efforts to be seen and appreciated. Just because I found a movie lacking doesn't mean I want everyone else to. So please let me know what your thoughts are on Wish and Disney in the comments below. Huge thank you to Lindsay Kay for our new avatar artwork. Links to her art pages are in the description box below if you'd like to check out her other amazing artwork. And as always, if you liked this video, give it a like. If you want to see more videos like this, click that subscribe button. If you want to help support our channel, check the description box for a link to our Patreon starting at only $5 a month. You know, Taya and I love talking about stories and movies because that is what we want to do with our lives. We want to create original stories and entertainment the whole family can enjoy. We have been blessed to work with some amazing voice actors and create our first original audio drama called The Adventures of the Dragonborn. It's on our channel if you would like to check it out and let us know what you think of our first original audio series. We try to keep everything on our channel family friendly, but still entertaining for all, so you can be comfortable listening to it with the whole family around and not be bored. Thank you so much for watching and all the support, and see you in the next one.